We got a Bob question from a white belt who's got an extensive wrestling background and he's gotten into jiu-jitsu. He's been doing it for a little over a year. He says most of the days that he rolls are no-gi because of the way that his classes are structured and the times are. So it's mostly no-gi rolling, so he doesn't have like a bunch of stripes on his belts or anything like that. But he said that the other day he was rolling with a purple belt and some blue belts, and he said that when he was rolling with the purple belts, he was giving them fits. You know, he wasn't getting the better of them, but he was giving them fits. But then when he rolled with a couple of the blue belts, he was able to get the better of them, even submitting a couple of them. And he noticed that they got discouraged, right? They got kind of bummed out. They didn't say it in so many words, but a lot of us, you can roll with someone and you can kind of feel their body language. You can tell when someone's down about something. And he noticed that they got discouraged after the roll. And so his question is to me, you know, I'm a one-stripe white belt still. Should I take it easy on these guys a little bit? You know, I mean, again, I know I shouldn't, but should I take it easy so I don't discourage them, or should I just keep going full steam ahead? He's asking me for my perspective. So, brother, thank you for the question. So check this out. You may feel like you're being nice by not going after them, right? But you're not doing them anything good for their game, because the fact that you are beating them with something is a good thing. That's how we get better in jiu-jitsu. We don't get better if our training partners ever challenge us. It's that whole thing where, again, you do something to them, they're getting beat. And again, this is like the fundamental thing of jiu-jitsu, which is we're faced with a problem and then we have to solve it. So then you're doing something to them that's beating them. They need to take on the mindset of problem solving instead of discouragement, figure out what you're doing, then they beat you. And then you guys do this dance back and forth. But if you don't challenge them, it's not going to help them in the long run. I know that for me, bro, like you asked me this question because I was a wrestler. Right? You even said that in the question. I wrestled, but I was a very mediocre wrestler. We're in Kentucky 20 years ago almost. Did not have a strong wrestling program back then. It's gotten a lot better now. Definitely didn't have a strong program back then in high school. So when I got into jiu-jitsu, I was wrestling with college wrestlers who were doing jiu-jitsu, and they were way better than me. They smashed the crap out of me. One of the beautiful things it did for me, though, and I've pretty much always had some college wrestlers floating around the mat room on any given time. Two things that really gotten from it. One is my takedowns have gotten so much better because they had to, because I can't hang with guys that are doing NAIA, NCAA wrestling if I'm not getting my game and improving it, right? Also, they've made my sweeps so much better, my bottom game so much better, because wrestlers don't just fall over. And if you've ever rolled with a tough wrestler and you try to sweep them, you've experienced this, where you try to sweep them, their back hits the ground and they pop back up really fast, because in wrestling, they will do everything they can to not hit their back. And so they fight like crazy, whereas a lot of jiu-jitsu practitioners who've done just jiu-jitsu will be okay with just rolling to their back and, you know, being okay with that sweep. And so it's really important, because I've gone to tournaments where I needed that oomph in my sweeps to get the sweep on my competitors, my opponents. And it's really helped me out. And so I'm glad that those wrestlers really took it to me over the years and put it on me. Because again, it's something that's been very useful to me. And again, if you're smart, just understand this. Just because the wrestler has only done maybe a year of jiu-jitsu, that grappling background that happened before, that counts. That gets to count to, you know, how good they should be. Maybe not their jiu-jitsu belt, but how good they actually should be overall, right? And so yeah, I don't think you do any service. I think the old saying that they use for different things, the rising tide lifts all boats, it kind of works that way inside your gym. When you bring someone in that pushes other people around them, it lifts other people up. It's always that way in team atmospheres. I was reading, Phil Jackson's books, 11 Rings, and he talked about that he would get the young guys. And again, these weren't necessarily the most skilled people, but they were the scrappy young guys, and he would throw them on the team, even though they weren't as good as some of the other players. They were young, they were scrappy, and that new blood, so to speak, that young blood would come in and would sort of keep the older guys, keep them on their toes so that they didn't get too comfortable. And you can think about it that way. If you're giving your blue belts and these purple belts fits with your wrestling primarily and your blend of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, that's a good thing. It's going to make them better. It's going to keep them on their toes, and it's going to force them to improve. And in turn, eventually they'll start countering you, and then you guys will have to do the dance back and forth, which is a good thing. It means you guys are all improving. And so that's my idea. Put it on them. That's the fact that they're getting discouraged is not your problem. It's their problem. They can fix it with their techniques and taking on the right mindset for jiu-jitsu. And brother, hopefully that helps. Talk to you next time.